The Dodgers are ready to face the Phillies for the biggest series of this season. Let's go! Hey everyone, welcome back to All Things Dodgers. We've got an exciting episode today because the Dodgers tonight are opening their series against the Philadelphia Phillies. They're currently 5 games behind Philadelphia in the National League wildcard standings, meaning the Phillies hold that second seed spot and the Dodgers currently will have to face the Mets or possibly the Giants, maybe a mystery team in a wildcard round, unless the two teams switch places. So if the Dodgers sweep the Phillies in this 3-game set, they will then be 2 games behind Philadelphia still for that second seed. The sweep could really put the Dodgers in a great position to take hold of that bye for the postseason to get past the wildcard series. But the Phillies have 3 lefty starters going for them, so here are the matchups. We've got Ranger Suarez versus, there's going to be an opener, Anthony Banda, and then probably Emmett Sheehan, who is initially scheduled after him. He's had fantastic development, and he could even be possibly used in the bullpen later on in the postseason. Next game, we have Christopher Sanchez, a really underrated pitcher for Philadelphia, versus the great Shohei Ohtani. Then we have the third game, the series finale, Jesus Luzardo versus Blake Snell. In this video, we'll be taking inventory in 2 departments for the Dodgers. Number 1, lineup. Number 2, bullpen. So let's start it off with this Dodgers lineup. We saw some great production against the Giants this past weekend. 23 runs in those last 2 games. So I think this offense is back for good. We know they've had some ups and downs throughout the season, some promising stretches, and then back to disappointing, a really crazy roller coaster this year. But I think they're back for good. Why? Well, it's because that these Dodgers hitters have been trending up for a while now. Mookie Betts is hitting like an MVP since August, even winning Player of the Week for the National League this past week. Shohei and Freddie, we know they've had some times during the season where they were striking out at a high clip, not really making that contact. Well, they are now, and even adding in some power there as well. What about later in the lineup, a little further down? Let's look at 2 hitters who have had a really good past month. Number 1, Miguel Rojas, averaged 307, 366 on base percentage, so he's getting on base for the hitters behind him, and then a 753 OPS, that's respectable, and then a WRC plus, where the average is 100, he's at 112. He's an above average bat over this past month. Who would have ever thought at the beginning of this 2025 season that Rojas would have such a pivotal role in this lineup? Really, he's hit his way into the conversation to make a postseason start at second base consistently. Great job for Miguel Rojas. Great time to step up. Then even we have Michael Conforto. I know fans have been trashing on him this whole season for not being as productive as we had hoped. It's true. It's been a bad season for Michael. He's talked about the struggles, but in this past month, he's been around a league average bat. 261 average, 329 on base percentage. That is also the walks factoring in there. OPS of 706, and right around an average WRC plus. But the most obvious improvement for this lineup has to be Teoscar Hernandez. We talked last week about how he needs to cut down on the swing and miss in the zone, less chase outside the zone, and get that launch angle up, get the fly balls going, line drives, hit the ball hard. So is he doing it? Well, these past 2 series, Teoscar has 11 hits, 3 home runs, all of them against the Rockies, 6 RBIs, and is hitting for a 393 average. Teoscar is back. Looking at some of the more advanced stats for Teoscar's hitting, we have 2 different time periods. The beginning of this season up until August 7, so that's the beginning of the Colorado series, and then since then, Rockies and Giants series. We have 3 different stats here. The first one is O-swing. How often is he swinging outside of the zone? No good. Up until the Rockies series, that number was at 28.7, but since then, he's locked that strike zone in and is only swinging at outside of the zone pitches 23.3% of the time. What about contact within the zone? That's Z contact, 79.1%, but now these past few series, that number is up to 86%. And how hard is he hitting the ball now that he is more confident with the pitches that he's swinging at? Well, that mile per hour exit velocity, 89.6, and now it's up to 96.7 over the past few games. So he's more confident with his swing decisions, and he's swinging at pitches that he can really get the barrel on, leading to more line drives, less ground balls, overall better results. But how do we know that this is here to stay? Well, Teoscar himself says that he feels like himself, the way he was before his earlier in the season injury. And he feels like what he's practicing in the cage before and after the games, that they are actually translating to in-game production. So all those things line up to what Freddie Freeman said for himself earlier this season. He felt like he was really scuffling, didn't know what was wrong in his swing mechanically, but he said eventually, guys, I found it. And it was true. He found it. He went on a run. And now Teoscar is making the same adjustments, same mindset shift. I think Teoscar is here to stay at the perfect time. Now, the hitter that I'm most concerned about is Will Smith. He's only played one game since September 3. It's because of a bone bruise that he suffered on his right hand due to a foul ball against the Pirates. And since then, he's been placed on the 10-day injured list. It is retroactive to September 10, which means that he will be eligible to return this coming Saturday. Now, who have the Dodgers been using to replace Will Smith in the time being? Well, Dalton Rushing is also on the injured list, so they've called up Ben Rortvedt. And initially, I admit I was not expecting anything from Ben Rortvedt, but in the 9 games he's played, he started 8 of them, and he's hitting great. 320 average, 414 on-base percentage, 8 hits, besides the fact that he's almost caught 2 no-hitters, and that was in a span of 3 games? So he has been amazing for the Dodgers in Smith's absence. Tonight, first game against the Phillies, the Dodgers are having Chucky Robinson make his MLB debut at catcher. But going back to Will Smith, we know how much value Smith gives to this team. He's having arguably the best season of his career. Offensively, he's hitting for a 296 batting average, 901 OPS, so clutch, RBI machine. He did struggle heavily in August, but he was starting to figure it out, especially since that walk-off home run that he hit against the Diamondbacks. And that's what made it so devastating to see him go down on the injured list, because it's so close to the postseason, and he was just going back to figuring it out. So I think the Dodgers, as long as he's feeling healthy, need to get Will Smith back in this lineup as soon as possible. If possible, Saturday, when he becomes eligible. Why? Because there are 13 games left to this regular season. I know it's crazy to even wrap our heads around that. It's so close to finishing. But the Dodgers need to get Will Smith back in his rhythm. It might take a few days, it might not. But to be safe, the Dodgers may not have that wild card bye into the NLDS for a rest. They need Will Smith back in his rhythm. They need him back as soon as possible. And when they do, just imagine, the Dodgers could afford to have Teoscar Hernandez hitting 6th in their lineup. That's how deep this roster can be. Now, people say that Max Muncy is like the glue for this Dodgers lineup. For me, Will Smith is like that cherry on top. Will Smith is an amazing defensive catcher, but it's when he's producing at this MVP almost level as an offensive player, driving in runs, coming through in clutch moments, that's like the extra chocolate syrup, the little whipped cream that really makes everything sweeter. That's Will Smith's role in this lineup. That's how important he is. Now, second department that I want to take inventory for with these Dodgers, real quick, I want to talk about Tanner Scott. I know he closed out the game successfully in the Giants series for one of those games, but Friday night, watching that game unfold the way it did was maddening. I was frustrated. I was heated. And so my opinion with Tanner Scott, he's going to be on this team. He's going to be on the postseason roster. But I think for now, he should be moved out of the closer role for the team. Manager Dave Roberts has said that these bullpen pitchers are currently undergoing an audition period. What role will they undertake for the postseason? But in a matter of, a week and a half, Tanner Scott has given up a walk-off. That was the day of Yamamoto's no-hitter. And then the day of the combined almost no-hitter, Tanner Scott breaks that up in the 9th inning. Then he gives up a walk-off grand slam to the Giants. And that's just in the past few series. This has been going on all year. a career high of 11 home runs surrendered by Tanner Scott. Before this year, his career high was 6. For me, he has shown he's auditioned for this closer role all year and has shown that he cannot close out games for the Dodgers, at least with the way his mechanics are right now. Lately, the Dodgers have been moving around guys like Kirby Yates, Michael Kopech, not putting them in super high leverage situations to see if they can get through a scoreless, maybe 6th inning, where the implications of that inning aren't too impactful. I think the Dodgers should do the same treatment with Tanner Scott. Make him prove that he can get through a scoreless inning in the middle of a game before you throw him into a 9th inning situation, bases loaded, 1 out, and expect him to do well. Because there is no expectation that he can do so based on what we've seen. I was upset. I know Tanner Scott's trying his best. He's downtrodden, but it seems like he may be having a shift in mindset. He's got the new trimmed beard. I don't want the Dodgers to really psych him out too much by completely shifting his role in that bullpen. I'm just saying, don't put him in tight spots and expect greatness when greatness isn't something that he's been able to provide for this team this year. Put him in low spots, let him prove himself, and when he does so, then you promote him and put him in more responsibility. That's my opinion. You've got great guys that have shown promise. Vesia, Dreyer, Robleski, who can go multiple innings. All those guys are lefties, so they could take Tanner Scott's position. It really comes down to who's performing. Now, when it comes to some of the guys who are coming back from injury, we've got Roki Sasaki and Kyle Hurt. I don't really see them making the postseason roster unless they get added to this roster currently for the regular season, like tomorrow, as soon as possible, to get any major league experience they can before the postseason. You can also maybe see a path for them in the playoffs. If there's an injury down the line, they're a good option. They've been in the regular season and have had success before, so good options, but I don't see them making that first series in the playoffs on that roster. This bullpen is finally healthy. They have 13 days left to prove themselves, their value, what roles they're going to assume, and I think they are so important because what if you run into a starter who is locked down performance like Justin Verlander last Friday? The Dodgers scored 1 run off of him, but then they couldn't score off of the bullpen either. So that means the Dodgers bullpen really needs to pick up the offense if the offense is not able to score. So both sides of the ball need to be tight. This bullpen has 13 days to prove that they can be just that. Well, guys, I think the Dodgers take 2 out of 3 against this series against the Phillies. That's my prediction. What is yours? How many games do you think the Dodgers will take from the Phillies in this series? Do you think they have a shot at leapfrogging the Phillies for the 2nd seed in the National League? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Go Dodgers. My name is Alan Maurice. I'll see you on the next episode of All Things Dodgers.